Yeah, but in Mkoma Kennedy, I just have this thing interesting that came through my mind. Mkoma Scotty was telling us that yeah, President vedu vanoshandisa mahlahla zvisingaiti, vanoshandisa zvibhakera, vanoshandisa tsvimbo and nevakavakomberedza kuidentifya maopponents avo vachiclear. Now tell me, what kind of a leader in the opposition should we get? Anokwanisa kuzotarisana nemutungamiriri ari kuita mabasa akaita saiwayo, imbobatsiraiwo
That's a good question.
advocate.
That's a very, very good question, Anodio. That's a tough one to advocate. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Let me start with that one. Then those end up in Dobbs. I think a lead within the opposition, our leader, and who first understands his opponent. And those areas. So what you want to do is to probably use my systems are available or at your disposal. Because to me, I think maybe I'm also part of the bandwagon. Yeah, one very more simplistic approaches. Because we have the constitution, and the constitution is quite clear on massive and political rights. And as a political leader, I would, form my political party. Their strategies are around my rights in the constitution, and and also form. Yeah, it's a difficult one, as you said, and also form maybe my systems at no kushansa their own systems to deal with injustices at now. I'll give you for example what I used to do. I'm going to Zimbabwe. I always have my examples at now. It's time Edu Mugabe, of course, now Takuna Singangari Nani, but time Edu Mugabe, when we were dealing with brutality, was one of the things that Nacho probably addressing footage Koma Dobbs is a system in a man who don't understand their mandate in terms of the constitution. But the police who work, of course, under instructions. Demonstrator, the first thing is to engage Murawa no main ZANU-PF, don't investigate and other stuff. We've got a system that believes Kuti it's there to support or defend wickedness. Yet our current regime is ZANU-PF. But now we do have my systems are within like Zimbabwe. If things like that happen, like if a police officer comes to you, brutalizes you, tortures you, you can sue that police officer, the government. And during time that, of course, Mzachinja would have my cases akawanda kadaro. Ekuti mapurisa would torture our clients in police custody. Munasungirwa nye demonstrator. I told Wawenza police station member, I wrote a passport soka or but we changed that. Because what I used to do is like, before some attorneys, what they used to do was like Kanaswadaro, they would put a notice of intentions to sue, then they'll sue the minister, then the police and all that stuff. But then they'll miss the small component of the police officer himself. But when I came in, I became innovative, named Temu. When I started to sue, I would sue the police officer in his individual capacity. Then when a minister or a government who are not sasu. So, and I would also make sure that I do have evidence yanenda na civil court where pandingenda winner. The government will not have an excuse. I know Mkoma Dobbs watara to say Mari. But another thing, the Otikana Munakaita Basa are in a government capacity, a poor judgment in his official capacity. You cannot go after him personally. You go after the system, Kanangari minister or so forth. And now what you cannot do as well is you cannot attach government property. So if you sue the police minister, minister of justice and so forth, if you get a judgment for 10,000, you're not going to get it because you cannot go beyond that judgment and attach anything. You cannot attach government property. But now I went around that And when we used to sue, would sue them in their personal capacity. So when I got a 10,000 judgment, I would go kumbakwa police officer. Kunotora twese to my 5 cents properties twake twese and attach that. And those judgments would be very, very popular within police stations. That when they knew the Zimbabwe lawyers, especially Kennedy Masie, is coming in and is representing this client, they would make sure that they don't touch that client because they knew I had the resources and so forth and so forth. But those are some of the things that we could do. So that is part of the system as well. That a leader who understands the opponent who faction would also try to use that because, of course, Tauranya is what the judiciary is captured and all that stuff. To me, I'm someone who believes can I get capture? Let us not do them a favor by saying it out for them. Let it be there in the open. Let's take as many cases to such an extent that we know without a shadow of doubt this judge is corrupt or this judge, let them do the work of corrupting themselves. But I think another point, like another mistake at made and dealt when we talk about my issues here, the courts are captured. We make so much noise here, maybe over just a few cases. And then what are we doing now? That system that we're trying to fix around the issue of accountability now goes away. Because people now who we want to demonstrate, I actually believe in testing the system. I actually believe in actually embarrassing the system by taking their cases to court. Because us as advocates now, so that's where ZANU-PF now takes advantage. Because they know, easy, because opposition is around. And sometimes you have to understand the reverse psychology and the politics around it. Sometimes when you say the judiciary is captured, it's ZANU-PF. But they don't want you to make a court. They want you to murame muri kuze muchitaura. And some of them, I mean, like that's how I think. It might be a simplistic approach, but that's how I feel. Whenever people, shy away from going not the extra mile, taking the route here for Torah for accountability. Do you know that you can sue? Report police station. Report ZANU-PF has won. No reporter. So there's no record. And upon a record varamba. But now we're putting it out there so that partners let's deal with police. But no one is not really testing the system. So I believe that the leader and Oya should test the systems that we have. We can talk about reforms. We need reforms. We not need reform this. Let's test the systems that now equals, and reform them through litigation, as an example. And let's take them. We go to constitutional court like right now. We have a few people. One in the challenger Keb 3. He said, "Yeah, pass over." Just a few people, but how many people are at Twitter talking, or even Zimbabwe talking about Keb 3 shatter this? But on a case here, constitutional court, on a case here, high court. What are you doing to test the system? And it Dr. Miriam of veteran. And then we discuss that after that. But I mean, like, we need to encourage each other to utilize my systems there. Put pressure on them. They will break. It will break. The system will break. Let's use that. And I think the leader, Wandof Mizra, just to answer that question, would want to work around those areas. And now, going Kunamkuma Dobbs about Mapurisa, yeah, sorry for them. Could a Parguta tribunal, I mean, like, those system, Yavarku supporter anyway. And in any event, a tribunal, it might be okay to a certain extent. Paguti, of course, the people are going to be victimized, but if we look at the crop Prison now, Zimbabwe, I can say probably 1% is professional. So whatever they fear about the tribunal coming in, it might be something else, which is actually affecting the ordinary Zimbabwean, which I believe is the corruption within the system itself. And I know where this is coming from. And there are a lot of improvements. Sometimes that is a matter already. Like a test number of funds, but there are kind of like some improvements that are actually second, and some which maybe not. I know to Zimbabwe right now they are trying to amend the criminal procedure and the CPNE Act to introduce aspect here plea bargaining. And what they are saying is like we want to make sure that we don't have my cases are Tokwasangota or Rana coming into court. That is fine in a functioning society. But we know what's happening about. So if you have plea bargaining coming in and you have a system that does not support, uh, legal aid or legal representation, you are going to find out that a lot of people are going to be either fined or sent to prison just because they just don't want to spend the night in jail. But I mean, like, those are some of the things that I know is still a proposal. And I mean, some other time we can discuss that. I think they actually called for papers to discuss that. So it's something that is out there if the people did not know. They are trying to amend those, but it's the whole system that needs to be amended. So I'll just let there.
Shamwari, wabata nyaya dziri kutonetsa kumusha dzokuti maCID anongonosvikawo iko zvinoizwa akazoita chiishu chepanning chiya vafana vakabata gold maCID anongoenda nepfuti onosvika ofura vana voti vanga vari kukomita crime saka vanga vakutiza izvozvo zvichiri kutowanikwa wese manje saka I think we need kuti advocates udzokere shamwari unobatsira vana because vari kungovurawa mahara. Then panyaya yaleader yatati tichitaura nezvayo wowina election Kennedy profile picture yako inondinakidza toita sitakatarisana wowina election opponent
Come on, dear.
yakutomuudza
Can
kuti
I? Is Nkoma Kennedy still there?
yes
Can,
he is
can I just
listening.
ask him one simple question, please? A straight one.
Okay.
So, Nkoma Kennedy, how can the Zimbabwean diaspora provide practical support to people on the ground? Let's say people on the ground. Yes. Who to one
He
or
answered that.
Did he?
He answered
Did
that.
he answer that?
Yeah, that is the first presentation he
Did
made.
you ask him that question or what?
Incidentally, as
Well, what
as
did he
he
say
picked
then? Then
up
let,
from,
let me hear from you. What did he say?
okay, he said, isiso atina ma encumbrances kuno ku diaspora. We can create projects, and those projects we can then fund activities at home. Pawanga vachitsanangura nokuti how we can support my protests and everything else. I'm not sure if that
Okay.
is related to your question, but he said that.
Do you want to add on that, Nkoma Kennedy?
Guys, can I please engage advocate a
No,
little
just
bit
wait.
just for 2 seconds?
Just wait.
Oh,
So we'll give you opportunity.
Yeah, yeah. That's more or less what I said. It was more of creating an ecosystem within the diaspora to supplement or even assist the civic society of Zimbabwe and all that stuff. We can even mimic what used to be there, because I talked about a system that I used to, engage with in Zimbabwe, where you had a legal system where people would get legal assistance, doctors, in case where people needed, help after, let's say, demonstrations or other things. Then you also had, people that you would have who would go, into the community, also, helping or assisting people with conscientizing them on certain aspects of their rights. Because some of the things I think we might take for granted or even be simplistic in the approach yekuti we think kuti vanhu vakawanda kuzimbabwe know their constitutional rights. That is can be a project that we can also do Trikuno Diaspora, just like funding or doing a project, per downtime, let us do a project. Do they really know about their constitution? How they can they defend themselves? I think, but my communities in Zimbabwe, we used to have something generated ABCs of arrests. It was just a simple, flyer where we just this is what you need to keep quiet. You could write to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we just put that in all languages: vernacular, Shona, Ndebele, Tonga, and you'd be surprised. But people do not even know because of the system. Young Zimbabwe, young questions are fear to govern and so forth. But in short, that is what I said in that response.
Yeah.
And Komango, my that's a profile picture. Magati Tagaita say Tagatarisana. No, that's not my profile picture. I put it there as as a way of protesting the disappearance of my client, Itai Zamara. I was Itai Zamara's lawyer.
Who
Took
was saying
Zimbabwe.
Guti
I
Magatari-san?
represent.
Who
I
was
still
saying
represent.
Magatari-san?
I think Komango has a profile picture, and he thought it was me on that profile picture.
No,
It's me.
no.
So
That's Zamara, no
so
deal. How
that
come you cannot
yeah.
know Zamara? It is Zamara.
I no, I knew, but I didn't expect it.
Oh, come on, no deal.
That of got this
Yeah,
similarity.
No, that's it. That's
yeah.
it. It is Zamara.
So
So
that's
that
Itai. That's Itai, and I've put, and I got it everywhere, even my Facebook. It's Itai because those are some of the things that with what's happening with Zimbabwe. For me, sometimes I feel you know level ratakasvika rekufamba all this and the persecution. Sometimes you feel like with the confusion, even within the political parties and all that stuff, it saddens me.
no, true.
Kuti there are
Yeah, it's
people,
very true,
yeah,
Mkoma. It's very
yeah,
true. In
there
fact,
are people,
in
yeah,
fact, in
like that,
Timu
like that,
Ivanuka,
like there are people, like there are people who died through Zimbabwe, and who died trying to teach Zimbabwe free from evil. And the bickering and the shouting each other and all that stuff, I think it puts a dent on some of these activists who are still missing, and some of the activists who died. So I think, and another thing, when you're talking about a leader who you would also want, I would also want a leader who, you know, aspires to unite people, and especially people who are engaged fight at the same cause. I know, like, especially in Cambodia, where it was day before yesterday, the people started to shout each other. So and so, Tanga announced the demonstration, and I think these ladies started to even, shout, personally. They actually went personal, and I was so sad. It was so sad. But we're trying to achieve the same goal here, and people are trying to demonstrate and air their grievances because of the struggles around Zimbabwe, and yet tese tiri Zimbabweans together the same thing. So sometimes it's said that way, but I know it just up at that ground where we are going to to find that common goal. Despite our differences of thinking, just say we want the same goal. Our country to prosper and to live in a life is free of fear.